We are live yet again, the Bullheaded Podcast. I am here with Zoo and Peebush. How you guys doing?
Not too bad, man. Get to spend a couple days in person with Zoo. It's been a
Ah.
while, and had a good New Year. Hope everyone else had a good New Year, man. Let's hope 2022 is a little bit better.
Yeah, man, phenomenal weekend. Seen the good old Lake Zurich squad, high school squad back in NYC, man. It was a beautiful weekend. DeMar DeRozan with 2 buzzer beater game winners.
That was crazy.
Majestic. 2 of my leagues at it. Got a gold medal, got a bronze medal. A little sad about the bronze medal. Third place is no place for me. Don't like third place medals at all. But got a gold in one of my leagues and another league going for another gold. So trying to get another dub for fantasy football, man. Man, so beautiful.
Oh, that season went by quick.
Oh, yes, it did, man. This season, man. Like we're at football playoffs now. Like pretty much the next week, a lot of teams like Green Bay Packers got nothing to fight for. So pretty much the season's pretty much over with 1 week left, and all the playoff teams are pretty much standing. So I'm like, yeah, football playoffs about to start soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get into it like Zoo just kind of alluded to. We're getting down to nitty gritty, week 17. We actually got, I think, the first actual week 18 coming up with a lot of crazy scenarios still left for the playoffs. So I kind of wanted to ask the guys, what are their thoughts in this past week and looking forward as we go into the playoffs. And Zoo, I'm going to start with you this time.
The Packers, man, I'm going with it. They're going to win the Super Bowl, man. Yeah, this is the year, man. This is the year. This is the year. Yeah. Like last year, they pretty much looked as good as probably this year. But I feel like with the Buccaneers injuries and that whole Antonio Brown situation, that whole AB fiasco, man, like the dude just quitting in the middle of a game benefited one of my fans.
Hey, man, call God, man.
Oh, man.
That was a weird thing to watch live, man. It was a weird thing to watch live.
Yeah, man, dude stripping down, just throwing out his jersey, man. Never seen anything like this before, but AB a little cuckoo, man. Like on that talent crazy scale, man, he's crazy over that talent right now. The dude legit quit during the middle of a football game, man. I'm just like, my Lord, man, that is embarrassing. But with that happening, I don't think Tom Brady could overcome all these wide receivers dropping like flies right now.
Yeah.
Like AB gone, Chris Godwin out, Lenny coming back from injury, Mike Evans, he's playing injured right now. Gronkowski, like always a huge injury risk. So like the amount that he has to overcome, who I think was the biggest threat in the NFC this year with all that talent coming back again. Green Bay Packers road to the playoffs. They got first round bye. Massive. Getting first round bye is massive. So getting first round bye, their most talented team, they're getting healthier and healthier. Hopefully they get some of their studs back. But yeah, this Green Bay Packers team, 37-10. That Vikings game, obviously without Kirk Cousins, wasn't even a contest. They're just rolling right now. That offense is rolling. Matt LaFleur, he's doing a hell of a job, even though I always hate on him because he got Aaron Rodgers, so it's not that hard to do a great of a job. But my Lord, 13-3, man, 8-0 at home field advantage. They're set up, man. They are set up, and this is the year. They cannot blow this. Yep. They cannot blow this because I feel like this window, man, is not going to last any longer because my Lord, man. Aaron Rodgers might leave. So, Aaron, get one more for the Green Bay Packers before you leave. You're going to leave, man. You leave him with the Super Bowl championship, people will forgive you for leaving.
Yeah, that's true. I think it would be just a nice cherry on top, and they'd be a little bit more considerate of, okay, go somewhere else or retire, or whatever he ends up doing. Or maybe he'll stay another year. I know we talked about this weekend, but, they're planning to franchise tag Devontae. So, if that one takes away the ability to franchise tag Rodgers, right? Unless they decide to do a last minute switch. But Zoo, I agree with you. I think at least in the NFC, they're pretty much, I don't want to say a lock, but they're the closest thing to a lock to make the Super Bowl coming out of the NFC. The only thing that could happen is if, like the Cowboys just have a godlike defensive performance, which we have seen out of them in a couple games this year, or the Rams just somehow are able to click in one game, right? I think that's kind of the luck that any team in the NFC is going to have to take out this Packers team because, Zoo, to your point, they're pretty much the exact same team, but their defense got a little bit better. So, and that's what we've always mentioned has been Rodgers' downfall pretty much for the past 10 years since their championship in 2011. So I agree with you, Zoo. That was a big lockup for them, especially with there only being one bye now and 6 other playoff spots. But I'm kind of looking a little bit more towards the AFC because the NFC, I think the only team that's really on the bubble and is fighting between is the 49ers and the Saints this year. My God, man, if the Saints make the playoffs, that's going to be a hell of a painful first playoff round for that, whoever their matchup will end up being. So I am rooting for the Niners. Trey Lance did look pretty good. So Quick shout out to him. But I do have to shout out the Bengals, man. They came up with a huge victory on the pretty much single-handed back of the Burrow Jamar Chase combo, looking like almost pulled up a Smith and Jigba in the Rose Bowl type game. Shout out him for putting up nearly 350. That was also a hell of a game. But look, man, it's the first time in I want to say 6 years or so that the Bengals have won the AFC North. That's always been a tough division. Big Ben kind of reigned over it for a while. We know where the Browns have been. And then the Ravens have just kind of been the hot team the past couple of years. So it's kind of nice to see a new team with a young quarterback that people are getting behind. He's been putting up nearly 1,000 yards in the last 2 games. Absolutely ridiculous. Jamar Chase just getting back to his massive yardage. I know for the past couple, there was a 4 or 5 week span where he wasn't getting as much targets. He was only getting 3-4 catches for 50 yards. And now he's putting up his 8+ catches per game, over 100 yards easily, 200 in some cases. So that's a team that I don't think, and Zoo, I mentioned this to you once again, that you don't want to run into the Bengals if they're hot offensively, because they have weapons at pretty much every level. Mixon, they have 3 legitimate wide receivers who can all impact the game. If you do not have 3, above average cornerbacks, you're going to get taken advantage of one way or another if Burrow is able to stay healthy. I know he did take a little hit to the knee. So, I think he might have a questionable designation. But maybe with the division, they might sit him in this last week. I know it could affect playoff seeding, but they do have a top 4 seed guaranteed. So, that is something to keep in mind there. And then the other 2 games, man, that I was watching were the Raiders pulling out a big win and the Chargers, both in must-need situations. So they face off next week. I don't know what you guys think about that game, but Chargers-Raiders is pretty much defining the AFC playoff picture right now.
Yeah, I appreciate you mentioning my boy Joe Burrows. I forgot to shout out Joe Burrows for winning me in my fantasy league. First place, baby. Shout out Joe Burrows, man.
Yeah.
Dropping a 400-yard, 4-tutty game, man. This guy legit won me my league. So shout out to Joe Burrows with that virtuoso performance. After the previous week, another virtuoso performance of
back-to-back.
500. Yeah, back-to-back, man. This guy legit won me $180. So shout out to Joe Burrows for the W, man. But for the Chargers, man, this team, man, I can't really figure them out, man. They're so inconsistent. They're so inconsistent. Sometimes they look like a powerhouse. Sometimes they look like a scrubby W team, man. The inconsistency, man. I know they have the high talent level of the elite offense with the young boy Herbert, with Austin Eckler, man, with those wideouts and Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But my God, the team's so inconsistent. I just feel like they remind me a little of the Chargers, man. Oh, not the Chargers, the Arizona Cardinals, man. You got a young QB, you got all this talent, man. On paper, they look really good, but I just don't believe in them, man. But obviously, we're talking about them versus the Raiders. I'm surprised the Raiders pulled off being still in playoff contention after all the garbage just happened to this franchise. Like overcoming a head coach that's racist that got fired, overcoming a guy with a DUI that killed someone. Like, they had all this shit happen to them, and for them to pull it off and be still contending for a playoff spot, massive props, because they had all the excuses in the world. Because going through all that, man, hassle off the field, being able to focus on the field and being still a 500 ball club, that is impressive. That is impressive.
And getting that win in Indianapolis against a pretty
good team.
hot team in Colts. And Taylor still had a decent game. They just contained him. We always talk about, I know we always talk NBA on this podcast. We always talk about how you can't really stop the best players in the league or the best teams. You can only contain them. Well, that's what the Raiders did to just somehow stave off the Colts, who, with Derek Carr throwing 2 picks, man, he only threw 1 touchdown. Josh Jacobs did have a pretty decent game. His typical 60 and a touchdown, classic Josh Jacobs type game right there. But then their defense just kind of has a pretty good red zone defense in that game. They're one of the worst red zone defenses in league. I think they have a 75% touchdown percentage on the defensive side, the Raiders. And somehow they were able to keep Taylor out of there more than once, and Wentz under 150 passing yards. So I don't think it's a warning, or a concern for the Colts. But that was a big game that they lost, because now they could lose some seeding, possibly have a tougher matchup in the first round. So definitely another team I'm watching.
I think the Titans are a team that I'm not confident at all in. I just think they've just been it's just been a circumstantial team. I'm not a believer in Tannehill, and rumors about Derrick Henry coming in. Like, even if he is or were to play, he's not going to be the Derrick Henry that was leading the league in rushing before he got injured. So they're a team in the AFC that I just don't have any stock in. Maybe they prove me wrong. But in the AFC, it's so funny that, like you guys were saying with the Raiders, like, part of me kind of wants them to get in because they just seems like a team. They have so much going against them, like Zoo was talking about, that if they were to get into the playoffs, they could be like this oddly weird dark horse. But the Chargers, like, looking at the playoffs, and we still got one more week, but looking at it now, it's like they would end up playing the Chiefs, and that would be a game I would be so interested in because selfishly, from the NFC and AFC perspective, just in terms of what I want to see for Super Bowl, I really want to see Mahomes and Green Bay and Rodgers go against each other, just because if I know it would probably be an offensive, like, just display of like the old guard of how Aaron Rodgers was the elite thrower from different angles, and you got Patrick, who is basically like a reincarnation of him but more athletic. Like, I would love to see that in the Super Bowl because it would just display like both sides of how now the dual threat quarterback is like what it is in the league. Because Aaron, like, when he was coming up, he was really the only guy in that dual threat category that also had like the elite arm and could make really good passes. And then Mahomes is like kind of like a clone of that. Just he's probably got a stronger arm and a little bit more athletic. So to me, it's just selfishly I would want to see that. I just feel like with Kansas City, their defense is kind of fool's gold. I feel like once you get a guy in the playoffs, like if he's an elite quarterback, like say you have to go against a Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert, he's going to eat that defense up. So then it's going to be a like high scoring match. And I don't know if Kansas City maybe in the run category, because I mean, if you're talking about running backs, if say they go against Cincinnati, I'm picking Joe Burrow's running back, Joe Mixon, over any back that KC has. So it's kind of like if they need to do a grind out game, that makes Cincinnati pretty appealing. But I think in the NFC, man, you guys already know, like, Jalen Hurts is in there. I'm riding that train until it falls off the tracks, man. Like, I just want to see that whole system of how they got now with running the ball, 300 monster, including himself, and a little bit of play action RPO game. I want to see that in the playoffs and see if they can actually stick to it. Because to me, the reason why I think I'm also so big on the Eagles is they have nothing to lose. Like, they have nothing to lose. Like, everybody thought this year, this is the year they're going to be like, well, we now know Jalen Hurts can't do nothing for us, and we're going to go pick a quarterback in the draft or whatever. But he actually ended up getting them to the playoffs. So now I feel like it's just no pressure. And when it comes to the playoffs, man, it's like, I want to buy into the Packers. I just feel like it's so easy. Like, I just think they have to get there this year because the Bucs are falling apart. The Rams, I don't know if you guys saw Jalen Ramsey, freaking, I don't even know who the guy was, safety, corner, nickel guy, whatever, just slapped him upside the head. I get it, Jalen, you're a Hall of Famer, but like, God, you can't do that. Like, what does that show for team unity? So it's like all these teams in the NFC are imploding. Like, the Cardinals. D-Hop's not back. Yeah, like, it's just so.
Aaron Rodgers beat the Cardinals without any of his receivers.
Yeah,
he ain't scared of the Cardinals.
No, definitely not. And like you say, if they're going to have the number one seed, you got to go through Lambeau. And everybody knows nobody wants to go play on the frozen tundra, as they would say. Like, nobody wants to go do that.
Nope.
So I'm more with a lock on it, like with the Packers, but I'm very intrigued with the Eagles just to see if they can make some disruption because, I just feel like they have no pressure.
And they take up a ton of time on the clock, man, just with how much they run the ball. That, like, if they're running, successful 8-minute drives, 7-minute drives, and we know Rodgers can go down the field in 2 plays, 75 yards. I mean, that,
I know.
It's just, a 15-yard pass to Devontae and a 60-yard bomb to, Lazard or MVS or something like that. That's Rodgers' MO. But I would actually argue, and this might be the first time I'm going to say this, but I think if you're going to pick a team that might cause them disruption, it could be the Cowboys. And I'm only saying that because of the defensive side. I think Micah Parsons could really disrupt, especially with, I know that the Packers O-line has been pretty stable, even without Bakhtiari there on the left side tackle spot. But man, if Micah Parsons, if they just decide to rush him all game, I mean, we know he rushes the quarterback, and even if they run a draw play or they run a screen play, Micah Parsons still ends up on the opposite side of the field, at least attempting in that tackle. So he could, not single-handedly carry that defense. And, Trayvon Diggs, he loves to get jumps on the ball, and maybe Rodgers will make a fool out of him. It's very possible. with those beautiful pump fakes and hiding behind the back leg on those play actions that Rodgers loves. But I do think that, if Dak is able to have a good game, if
That's the
Ezekiel
key.
Elliott and Pollard can put something together and at least get their team 80 total rushing yards and open it up for Dak and he can hit open throws, that's a big if. But there's really no other NFC team that stands out to me. Stafford's been struggling. Kyler Murray's had his woes here and there. Their defense hasn't been great. James Conner's been out. They pretty much won and held on to that lead against the Cowboys because of that miraculous fake punt catch off the helmet. They were comparing it to David Tyree. I thought it was way harder and much more impressive than the David Tyree catch. But yeah, so to me, not saying the Cowboys are the most consistent team, but they can pop off if they are feeling it, similarly to, I think, what you would consider, how the Bengals might play the Chiefs, for example.
Yeah.
I think
but my man Aaron Rodgers, he owns the Dallas Cowboys.
He does own them.
He has played them twice in the
playoffs,
and he whooped their ass both times in historic fashion, man.
Exactly.
They were all great games, so I can't wait for Dak Prescott to play Aaron Rodgers again.
In Green Bay, too.
Yeah, if that's the NFC Championship, I'm putting all my money on Aaron Rodgers, man. If it's the Cowboys, man.
Yeah.
If it's the Cowboys, if it's Tom Brady, I'll be a little nervous. But if it's Dak Prescott, Super Bowl, baby.
But it's either that or you're talking, an inexperienced playoff player in Stafford. He's only played maybe 2 games in the playoffs in his career, never won. He looked pretty bad this week, even though he ended up having good stats.
Man.
Those picks were atrocious. You keeping Tyler Huntley in the game, allowing Justin Tucker to make it a close game. Yeah, I don't know. There's really no other standout in the NFC, but I do think that, that Cowboys defense is the most formidable defense in the NFC that's making the playoffs this year. So we'll see. But I do think it's going to be an easy ride for Rodgers. There might be 1 or 2 bumps in the road, but he'll get there.
I have a dream now. Both my teams make it to the finals, baby. Green Bay Packers here, Chicago Bulls here, baby. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a book year. I'm gonna speak it into existence like LeVar Ball, man. I'm gonna speak it into existence. Aaron Rodgers winning Super Bowl MVP, man.
He needs
DeMar
another
DeRozan.
one.
He gets another one that puts him in a way different tier.
Yeah.
Puts him in a way different tier.
And we can all agree that my man Aaron Rodgers got the MVP in the bag after securing the NFC, baby.
Yeah.
He got the MVP in the bag. It's not even a question. Like, it took Tom Brady a miracle to beat the Jets.
Yep. His own miracle, but,
Real quick, do you guys think Antonio has any chance in the league after this?
No, absolutely not.
It's over?
I think
absolutely
somebody's going to. Somebody will take chance on his talent, but I don't think he'll actually do it. I actually think he will walk away.
No, because
there's going to be a shitty team that would.
Tom Brady is the only guy with enough pull to get AB on a team. Like Bruce Arians didn't want him, and Tom Brady was able to pull it off and it was worth it. They won a Super Bowl together, and he was a massive contributor. But after what he did, man, like damn. That's Tom Brady, man. I'll be shaking my head, man. This dude vouched for him, gave him a place to live, gave him a second chance at football.
Yeah.
Won a Super Bowl together, and this is what he does, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna do it for you, at least do it for Tom Brady, man. This dude had your back the entire freaking time.
And he needs him.
His brother.
He needs him more than ever now.
Brady needs AB more than ever.
Because I don't even know who the guy they were. There was I don't even remember the guy's name.
Harriman was like getting a lot of targets.
Yeah, it's Tom. We didn't even mention him in terms of him being in the playoffs. It's kind of crazy considering that he's losing AB that we didn't even mention because Tom. I feel like these type of moments is what he lives for.
It's
just hard
Don't
for
count
me
him out.
It's just hard to envision with. Now, like I say, if AB did all this and Godwin was so healthy, I probably would be like, we just can't count the Bucks out. But with because he don't even really have the best relationship out of all those 3 receivers. I think Mike Evans is probably the least one that he has the most rapport with in terms of who he goes to. Because Godwin is his guy, and then with AB, he's kind of the shorter slot receiver that he loves to throw to his whole career. So, and plus you have a lot of injuries on defense. With their key and a couple linebackers too. That I think Levante David, a couple of those guys, Shaq Barrett. It's just gonna be hard. And they're gonna be on the road, so I just don't see it. I just don't. But next thing you know, it could be Bucks versus the Packers in the freaking NFC Championship game.
Who knows? It probably will be.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. You can never count time out. So we're gonna see these next couple of weeks, or actually the next week with Week 18. A whole lot of scenarios. We could be talking about a whole entire different playoffs. come next week when it comes to the NFL. But I kind of want to switch topics because if you guys were watching the Monday night game yesterday, Big Ben, had a pedestrian game, but it's it's the end of his career. We all know that he's on his way out. It was more so of the the crowd and being at home with the Steelers and having that touching moment with his family and all that stuff because he had a illustrious career with the Steelers. But I kind of wanted to ask the guys. There was a few other quarterbacks that got drafted in the same draft class as him with Eli and Phillip Rivers, and I wanted to ask the guys, in their opinion, not so much as this being fact, in their opinion, whose career or who would they take as a quarterback for, I guess, if they were building a franchise or just overall career to the Hall of Fame. And Peebush, I'm going to start with you.
I mean, I think it's a pretty clear-cut answer of, who is the best quarterback of all of them. I mean, I think Big Ben easily had the best career overall. 2 Super Bowls. He didn't win a Super Bowl MVP, but, they gave I think it was his first one to Santonio Holmes for that beautiful catch against the Cardinals and Larry Fitzgerald, but also a hell of a throw on that play, by Big Ben. He literally pointed him out. You can watch it on the play. He points to Santonio Holmes. He's like, I'm throwing it right to you. Great catch. Could have won Super Bowl MVP on that one. And then, you're looking at a Phillip Rivers who, probably one of the better regular season quarterbacks to ever play the game. Pretty similar to, a Peyton Manning, who was a god in the regular season, pretty much year in, year out. Did obviously win a couple Super Bowls, not necessarily the most impressive. No hate on Peyton Manning, but his brother Eli, different story, man. He's kind of I think the funniest thing about Eli Manning is he had a 500 record exactly at the end of his career, and I think that is the definition of how he played. But in the playoffs, he was a new monster. For some reason, he just, as Tom Brady said on Monday Night Football broadcast this year, he says whenever he saw that silver and blue helmets, man, he just turned on to another level. Won 2 Super Bowl MVPs against Tom Brady and the Patriots. Hell of an impressive career. But Big Ben is just way more efficient, man. He had nearly a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. Pretty much never lost. Never had a losing season. Much better arm talent than I think either one of those two guys. And he just had better teams, so he had more success. So, and if you want to look at it, he did win the Rookie of the Year. They all 3 got drafted. So, if I'm starting a team or I'm looking, I do think that all 3 are Hall of Fame quarterbacks, but I got to go with Big Ben if I'm starting a team because I just think he has the most raw talent.
Yeah, man. When I look at this question, man, I look at legacy, man. What are they known for? What are they known for? Their impact on the game, off the field, on the field. When I look at Phillip Rivers on the field, average, mediocre, had some nice playoff run. The guy never did anything.
He had one good playoff run.
Yeah, one good playoff run and a really long career. Like he had a really long career, but not very memorable moments. Like the only memorable thing about Phillip Rivers is the amount of kids he had off the field, man. That's what when I think of Phillip Rivers, I'm like, man, that's a dude with like a big ass family. The Brady Bunch is over there. So that's Phillip Rivers' legacy, man. So obviously not him. You think about Eli Manning. At first, it was just, Peyton Manning's brother, man. The Manning, his dad was obviously an NFL guy. Brother's an NFL guy. This guy's an NFL guy. He was pretty mediocre until he beat Tom Brady twice. Like, he beat Tom Brady twice, and he made some of the most memorable throws in football and Super Bowl history. Like, Super Bowl, you look at Super Bowl history, he has some of the most memorable games and performances in, obviously some of them might be a little lucky, but man, sometimes be lucky than good, man. Like he pulled it off, man. You're in that moment and you make some throws that are so memorable. Like these are what commercials are made for. Those Eli Manning throws and what he's pulled off. And he was the true underdog in those series, man. The undefeated Patriots team, that's probably would have been going down as greatest team of all time in football. Going undefeated, and the way they just dominated the game with Tom Brady and Randy Moss. Greatest coach, greatest quarterback, one of the greatest receivers of all time. And you beat that team? Oh,
at 8-8.
Man, dude. That wild card run, man. Oh, my Lord, man. And it's not just making to the Super Bowl and beating Tom Brady. He's beating Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. And wasn't that the Aaron Rodgers that was like the 15-1 Aaron Rodgers?
That might have been Brett Favre's last year. I can't remember, but yeah. No, it might have been.
Yeah, so he beat some legitimately Hall of Fame quarterbacks, some of the most recognizable quarterbacks that impact the game of the NFL. So Eli Manning's on the court moments, like most of his other moments are pretty mediocre in the regular season.
Yeah.
Like all that guys know for throwing a tutty and throwing 2 picks because I don't know what happened.
And getting Odell going That's the other one.
Oh yeah, get Odell. Go Odell. Have a shining moment, man. But Eli Manning's moments of his career are Hall of Fame moments. Like
Yeah.
I would like just those moments. I would say is a Hall of Fame career, even though the rest of his career pretty damn mediocre,
Yeah.
man. Pretty damn mediocre. And lastly, Big Ben, man. Big Ben, historic franchise of the Steelers. Pretty much in the beginning, he was just like riding the coattails of good defense.
Mhm.
Like pretty much, like he didn't do much when he won his Super Bowls, but he was able to develop his career very similar to Russell Wilson, becoming more of a facilitator to okay, this is a guy that actually make plays. Big Ben chucking the ball deep, man. Like him with the triple Bs, the Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, those are from nasty offenses, man, that he ran with Mike Tomlin. Those are some elite offenses.
Yeah.
Like, my God, that team was fully
What could have
loaded.
been, man?
Yeah, what could have been, man? Too bad the Patriots had to whoop them every time.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, we couldn't pull it off, man. But, yeah, Big Ben. And not going to lie, man, Big Ben also, man, you know, also memorable about Big Ben, man? Off the court issues, man.
That's
Off
fair.
the field issues. So that negative on his career,
Yeah, I remember that night in Georgia too.
yeah, man, it's not
a lot
good,
of people
man.
forgot, but yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
see
don't
Yeah.
know.
what's
I don't
going on
forget
right
those
now.
Never
off the
forget.
field issues,
Yeah.
man. So that off the issues, I gotta dock that resume a little, man. Because when I think about on the court, off the field, these things matter. So I got to go with
Yeah.
my boy Eli Manning.
Really?
Yeah, Eli Manning, man.
Okay.
Even
That's
though
fair.
his skill wise, his interceptions, my lord, I hate interceptions.
Yeah.
Like he is
the
really,
worst.
he is by far the worst at throwing picks. But I feel like his moments and having a clean off the field, man. Eli Manning, I'm going with his legacy on the impact of the NFL, man.
Yeah, that Eli for me, even though it's not the guy I'm going to go with, the guy I'm going to go with is Big Ben, because I just feel like he's more of a natural talent that Pete Bush said. One thing about Eli, his moments, like you say, Zoo, in big games, like he just never seemed like he gave two craps about what game it was. He just was out there gunslinging,
Yeah.
going around, getting directing, doing whatever. And I would probably say that I'd have to be fact checked because I'm not entirely sure, but I feel like out of those three, he probably had the least talented offenses out of all those. Like he had like Mario Manningham and he had
Yeah.
Victor
Oh,
Cruz,
absolutely.
but I can't. What running backs he had? Like Brandon Jacobs, maybe.
Ahmad Bradshaw.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
you know,
Bradshaw, pass
like
catching guy.
maybe Tiki Barber. I'm not even sure. Tiki might be before him. I'm not sure. But like he probably had one of the less offensive or efficient offensives surrounding him. Like Big Ben had a lot of weapons. That's one thing the Steelers always did. They stack receivers. You know, Le'Veon was on a Hall of Fame track until he kind of went off the rails and demanded money and all that type of stuff. Like he was on a track where he could have been in the Hall of Fame because he was one of those legit backs. Like you could line him up out wide. He can go
Receiver.
do it,
Mhm.
out route, whatever. He can go get it and catch it and do all that stuff. And then you had Antonio Brown. So, with Big Ben, his career kind of was similar to like how it is usually with the quarterbacks that come in that are drafted high. Sometimes they like Brady, even though he's not Brady, but like Brady was kind of a game manager at the beginning and he grew into who he was. Big Ben kind of did the same thing. I just think he was more naturally talented. Phillip, he was a guy that I think a lot of players, if they were like off the record or maybe on the record, would say he's probably one of the biggest shit talkers. So like I think a lot of his mystique and all that is like he was good and he did all that. So and he had LaDainian Tomlinson, which it's kind of a shame that he didn't even get to a Super Bowl with LaDainian in his backfield. But I'm gonna have to just go with Big Ben because I just think he's more physically gifted. Like I said, I'm not excusing any of the, because he had not even just the situation in Georgia. Like he have the huge motorcycle
school
crash. Yeah, like acting crazy. Like he was reckless off the field, and I think he got a lot of it covered up by, just the Steelers situation and like. I don't know. Everything with the Steelers is always protected. Their brand. So I feel like everybody involved with that organization, it's kind of hard to like really mess up. Like you see Antonio, he kept getting chances after chance with the Steelers, and they still were winning because it was more about their structure. You see, he goes to Tampa Bay and they won, but that's mainly because of Tom Brady. Let's see what Tampa Bay's structure is going to be when he leaves. Like they're going to go back to probably being 8-8 and under 500 because Tom Brady just has that type of, I guess, cachet that people know. It's like kind of LeBron a little bit. It's like when you go to the Lakers or go wherever, you got to act right because you're playing with one of the all-time greats. So, Big Ben's had a lot of help, I feel like, with the Steelers. And he kind of owes the Steelers a little bit because they held on about 2 years too long with Ben, too.
Yeah.
So, To be honest, I think he's indebted to the Steelers forever. But just for me personally, I'm gonna go with Ben because But Eli, one thing about Eli too that's kind of crazy is I know he was a gamer in terms of the like playoffs. But if let's be honest, if his last name wasn't Manning, it would take a while for him to get into the Hall of Fame because you just can't give a guy with 2 Super Bowls, even though he had iconic playoff.
He has 2 Super Bowl MVPs too. He was the reason.
Yeah, he was the reason. That's the thing. He wasn't riding the coattail. He made.
He made the throws.
Unlike his brother.
Moments. And I'm not gonna lie, like that throw that he had, I think in a separate second Super Bowl to Manningham, that little dime, that was probably one of the best throws in Super Bowl history. Like that was a crazy throw and catch.
I'd argue NFL history. I think that's one of the best against one of the best safeties of all time in Rodney Harrison coming on in hot. And a hell of a catch by Mario too. To hold
over
on
the
to
shoulder, that was crazy.
Willie Mays-esque, man.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason why Eli gets a lot of people are going to argue he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. I just think his, out of these 3, it's not even like close, like in terms of just regular season accolades, which the Hall of Fame bases a lot of it on. Like it's been Phillip and then Eli's down because he finished 500 and he's got so many interceptions. It's kind of, but he's going to get in probably on the first, second ballot. Who knows? Because I feel like a lot of it is his last name. But in terms of just gamers, game on the line, Eli, he calm, cool, and collected. So I do get why people wouldn't make the argument for him being in the Hall of Fame. I get it. But yeah, I kind of want to see this like removed maybe like 4 or 5 years from now because Ben just retired to see what people truly think. I think the majority of people that's watching this are, just average NFL fans would probably say Big Ben. But I see a lot of people like Phillip Rivers just because of he seems more personable. He seems like a guy that you act like, if you're playing in the YCM pickup, you're just talking shit to people and acting crazy. So I think a lot of people relate more to Phillip. So it'll probably be really divided on that. But we'll see. They'll all make it. I think probably maybe first, second ballot. I mean, who knows?
Phillips might be the only second ballot, I think, because I think a Super Bowl, if you have multiple Super Bowls and you're a starter, and you made a big impact, or maybe you weren't as good in the regular season, but you have 2 Super Bowl MVPs. I mean, you have to give it to him. But Phillip Rivers has a lot of numbers. He actually had the best touchdown to interception ratio of all 3 of them. Yeah, so just couldn't get over the top.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think I also saw a report where he was saying he was thinking about what Carson was the whole COVID thing he got. They were thinking about bringing him back. I was like, all right, guys. Like you drafted, I think you got Ellinger and Easton. Give him a chance.
He's on his way to cheaper by the dozen, man. He's only got 11. Can't cut that man off.
Yeah, I can't even I would if that was me just having those kids. I'd be like, look, 5 of you guys, you're not going to college. The rest of you, we'll talk about it. But go find a trade.
NFL contract though.
Yeah,
I think they're fine.
I don't know. After that 6 kid you're paying for tuition, that's going to be a lot of money going through. And he's out there in California too, so they're probably going to want to go to Stanford, UCLA, USC. Yeah, have fun with that, Phillip, paying those bills, those tuition bills.
Enjoy retirement, man.
Yeah, facts. But that's kind of it for this episode of the Bullheaded Podcast. Make sure you guys like, subscribe on YouTube. Getting those videos up. I'm going to start editing more things into that so we get the intro, outro. Make sure you guys follow us at bullheaded_pod on IG, Twitter, TikTok. The TikTok handle is bullheaded864, putting content up on there daily. Also doing shorts on YouTube, which is under the same name. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And for me, Zoo, and P. Bush, we're out.